Welcome to the LabVIEW experiment. What is that? Well, Norm has reached out and asked us if he could be a guest host. So we decided to have him do a little audition at NI Connect. We are so gracious to Chris Stryker for being the guinea pig here. And please note that this was recorded on site, so there is a lot of background noise, and we did our best to clean it up with our audio tools, but it's still a little shaky at parts. We'd love to hear your feedback on what you think about having a guest host, and we hope you enjoy.
That's true. All right, on 3, 2, 1, we're going to sync. Woo-hoo! We've got this. All right, so this is the LabVIEW experiment of using a guest host. Of course, my name is Norm. I work at NI currently. I've been a LabVIEW member of the community for a long time, and this is Chris Stryker. Chris, introduce yourself.
I have been with NI for 8.5 years. That started a decade ago, but I took a 1.5 year break to go to an alliance partner because
You're like a repeat offender, right?
I'm a repeat offender. LabVIEW's great. I wanted to come back to. I left to focus on LabVIEW. I came back because I just loved NI.
There you go. Well, it's nice to have you back. It's always nice to see people come back after a period of time. Now, of course, Sam, you have interviewed a variety of people, not NIers, but also NIers as well. But of course, I think this was not an attempt for NI to conscript all the community in LabVIEW experiment by any stretch of the imagination. Chris just happened to be standing there, and the experiment, which you will find out, listener and watcher, right now, is this a failure or a success? That we just said we should do this, and Sam's like, well, when are you going to do it? And so we found a spot. We're hoping that the audio holds out for the time being, and also Sam's phone with limited video. So, Chris, so you basically talk about your journey going into basically out of NI and into one of our partners, because of course a lot of our partners are the ones listening to this. Maybe some cohorts there. So what was what did you find that was like really, really good about like getting outside the walls, and then also that you didn't think actually fit the bill of what you thought it was going to be?
So I wanted to focus on writing LabVIEW code, which humorously, LabVIEW R&D is one of the worst places you can be to write LabVIEW code. It's humorous, but yeah. So I left to go to focus on LabVIEW development, and then COVID happened.
Oh, was that the thing that...
That's the thing that happened.
Okay.
So I went remote.
Yeah.
And then my employer...
I think that would have actually helped maybe LabVIEW development because you're less likely of having to deal with any kind of hardware or other people. And...
Yeah, you would think so. But, so my employer wanted us to come back to office.
Okay.
I was looking around, and I was like, well...
Oh, okay.
NI has this open position that's fully remote. I'm like, well, let's take a shot. And, well, you see where I am now.
Yeah, came back. Now, you've gone from, so what was your role before leaving? Because you were already part of, like, you were LabVIEW R&D, but you were like a product support engineer, right?
Well, no, I'd left product support engineer and gone to, worked on a hardware and measurement abstraction layer project.
Okay.
So that was a market probe, and we were about to go to probe the customers at that point. And so development was mostly done. I was like, well, this is a good time to segue into a full-time LabVIEW position.
Yep.
Where I focused on a lot of DevOps infrastructure stuff, which was enjoyable. And I really enjoyed, that was why I started playing with Docker in LabVIEW, actually.
That's right. You were one of the lead people that kind of tried to introduce the community. Yeah, to some degree, both internal and external. So when it comes down to that, that's interesting that was part of your expanding your mind out of being just a LabVIEW developer.
Right.
What was one of the things that led you to understand, like for all of us who really don't know Docker well, I kind of get the idea it's like VM-esque, but not completely.
Right.
But what was one of those things that really lit the bulb in your head of going like, this makes sense for me because
automated build.
Okay.
CI/CD was definitely the motivator for that.
To go.
I wanted to be able to test my code. I wanted to be able to build my code without having to have a VM per project.
Okay.
I wanted to be able to have a Docker image that I could install stuff to, that I could spin up and spin down ephemera.
Okay, and that's easy for all of us who are still learning. That's easier than having a bunch of VMs just because of drive space?
Drive space, compute space, there's multiple benefits there.
Very interesting. So now even the idea of CI and CD, we've all watched the LabVIEW community, like what I like to say is we've all grown up.
Yeah.
We all had our eyes open more to, well, we're just lagging, right? I think even the software community in general has been moving along, but we've been trailing it. But where have you seen it gone? I guess external outside of NI, as you kind of watched how people have adopted Docker and how it's fit and maybe how it hasn't fit.
Right. So I've seen lately a push to move to runtime Docker deployments, actually. I was focused on development environment builds because I wanted to build my code.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing even things like application deployment in Docker. I'm like, that's a really cool application.
Because you're not actually trying to deal with all of I have source code, but it's more I have my deployment plus everything around it and making sure that does the thing, right?
Right.
Okay.
And it can even be something like my application needs to scale in a horizontal manner. So I need to run multiple instances of my executable at a time.
Okay.
Well, Docker makes that simple.
How so?
Well, you can spin up any number of containers at will.
But at that point in time, how is that different than a VM?
Think like a microservice.
Is there like a sandbox around it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's kind of like there's a thing I've just learned about on Linux that NI does, where on a Linux RT system, we make like a little sandbox. Let's not pew. Oh gosh.
Shadow file system.
See, Shroot. Yeah, Shroot, actually. Yeah, and so basically it makes its own little eco, so you can have multiple of them and they don't have to interact, but you can enable to hop over.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
similar concept. You can run multiple instances of your executable in parallel, and so long as they're all working via network interfaces, they're all completely independent.
Right, it's just TCP and ports?
Yeah.
Okay. That's very interesting. Now, I've heard a lot about how NI indeed has experimented to try to enable that, but I've yet to hear like we could do this type of scenario. Now that you're back inside the walls and you can at least hear what's rumbling or what has happened, what have you heard of there's kind of a good reason why it doesn't exist yet? Like, why is it not there yet? Or have you heard of how we're trying to make that possible?
Well, you see, Norm, I do system link integrations these days. So I don't touch LabVIEW in my daily life, unfortunately. I'm very sad about that. But I do system link integration.
I will pull you back into the ecosystem. I'm sure.
Okay, I do love my job.
And you look at what Eli did, right? Eli Carey, right? Community manager.
Right.
He was so excited to make that Jeopardy trivia system. So at Connect, there was a challenge. That wasn't the Challenge of Champions, but it was a Champions Jeopardy. And Eli took the job, the community director and other things. And one of the things that I noticed very specifically is he took the job. He's trying to figure out strategy. But holy crap, the fastest... I've never seen somebody gravitate back towards the block diagram as fast as Eli did from how far away he was from actually being a developer. He was waiting for an excuse to make a thing. And so he actually has it up on GitHub. And if anybody wants to see that, do your own Jeopardy using a LabVIEW as the execution engine for it, he's got that in there. But that was really great.
I totally get this because I've been doing Python and people management for the past, I don't remember the last time I wrote code. Until last week, I got to write code. And it wasn't fancy, it wasn't amazing, but you know what? It was code, damn it.
It was.
Python doesn't count as code? No. Python or anything. Well, Python is scripting. Thank you. Python is a god-awful environment that is just the abomination of all things code. We're going to talk that part out together
in the next week.
But it is code. I will give it that.
It's okay. Fair enough.
It's clear. No, we
you don't have to write variable names in LabVIEW. Just think about that, right? If somebody writes code and you have to spend time thinking about variables, how many wires do you... Imagine if you had to create a variable name for every freaking wire in LabVIEW, right?
But Norm, you have to create VI names. VI names. VI names are very...
Well, that's fine. That's a function. Not everyone is really good.
But that's true. That is a clean code changed my life.
Okay. I was gonna go one direction. I think I need to. That's a bold statement.
It is.
Clean. What's clean code mean to you?
The book Clean Code made me realize small functions. A function is a VI. Things like give things meaningful names. Solid is touched on in there. That's super important. Don't get me wrong. But the biggest takeaway I trusted: 20 nodes per function.
Okay, the minimum, that's the max. When you start to top out.
Now, I don't necessarily get 20 nodes verbatim, but key takeaway, small VI.
Yes.
Small VI. So then you can reflect diagram with a nipple emitter.
That actually, the funny thing is, like the small VIs, those are the ones like where it's like perfect. Control you.
Yeah.
That's so off.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Now, I also love classes. I think in classes,
That's fine. Nothing wrong.
people complain about classes with, like a bunch of members. I don't care. If they're meaningful members, if they do important things, I don't care if there's 20 members in a class or 40 members in a class. Now, beyond that, maybe you should think about the integrity of your class. So is your class doing well?
Well, it's structured well, right? I think that has to a lot of, if you go to the object-oriented thought process, right? You should be thinking encapsulation,
Exactly.
not thinking extension, because you'll end up with the rich uncle syndrome,
Exactly.
where you're expecting inheritance to solve your problem, right?
Exactly.
And so, all right. So, in the name of an experiment and keeping it short, I was at short steps. And what? What's the title? Feedback. Short steps, quick feedback.
Yes.
And we'll be okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Let's go ahead and do with the tagline. What you talked about your journey. We talked about things that you've done. What would you say is an experiment that really has led to some solid insight for you? That has either succeeded or failed.
I feel dirty saying this.
Get dirty.
Writing Python code.
Now, how has that been an experiment for you?
Well, I hated Python. I despise it with a burning passion because I was an application developer.
Okay.
It has dawned on me after telling our CTO I despise Python code, but I'm here anyway. It has dawned on me that Python is great as a scripting language. Every language has a purpose.
Yes. It was designed for...
Python is great for scripting.
Okay. But not for creating...
Not an application, still hate that with a burning passion. But Python has very good uses. And that hurts me to say, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge everything has purpose.
Very interesting. All right, so at some point in time, I think as we all investigate and learn, we're gonna try to answer that question, what is Python for me? That's probably, that's so powerful to get that slight insight of don't look for it here, look for it here, and you'll probably have your own experiments overall.
Right, exactly.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you, Norm.
And thank you, Sam, for giving us a chance to run an experiment here.
That's it for today's episode of the LabVIEW Experiment. Thanks for listening. If you have any comments or questions, head over to thelabviewexperiment.com and drop me a note. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the LV Experiment.